Let's bring in Peter Csathy from San Diego. He's the author of a very interesting book called Fearless Media, an insider's guide and call to action for today's new media 2.0 world and where it's going. He's a founder and chairman of CREA TV Media. Am I making any mistakes in my analysis? Now, you don't have to agree with me that Donald Trump should back away from the tweeting of the media every day. But just in general, the media is losing influence among the American people.
Well, look, Bill, I generally agree with the fact that now we live in an age where the audiences are so fractured. And now, because of the technology has changed, anyone can be a broadcaster, which is pretty powerful stuff. So now we look for what appeals to us, what speaks to us in terms of POV. Before, we had certain perspectives that were kind of thrust against us because we had a limited number of choices. And so that changes the game. It's a game changer. So I think in general, more and more people are consuming news, but those that have been the leaders in the past are having a smaller slice of the pie.
All right, but this broadcast that you're on right now reaches hundreds of thousands of people. And we have 3 million Twitter followers. I mean, we get our message out, but it's nothing like I had at the Fox News Channel when I was getting 5-6 million people watch me every night on appointment viewing level. So the influence is still in the network and cable precincts. It's still there. But what has changed is whether people believe what they're actually hearing and seeing on those vehicles. Because they're not any longer. They're not believing it any longer.
Well, again, I think that there's a little bit of a, you're seeing a diminishment overall of the network and the cable news broadcasters because more voices are out there. And because more voices are out there and able to reach them, even if they're smaller. So your platform
You don't think it's their own behavior that's doing this? I mean, when I think 90% of viewers who watch CNN and MSNBC vote Democrat and 95% vote Republican that's watching Fox, you don't think their behavior, the way they've structured their programs and comments and reporting has turned the American public off?
I think it's the voices themselves. So whether the behavior or the voice, we're not monolithic. And so previously, when there were fewer choices out there, we were forced to take a certain channel, certain point of view in the aggregate. We're now in a position where, because we have so many voices out there, if we do not believe in what we hear, whatever network that
they got other places to go. I understand.
They have other places, and they increasingly follow personalities.
Yes, even that, look, it's not just television. So Paul McCartney puts out a new album.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Paul McCartney, okay? Barbara Streisand puts out a new album. Zero. If you look, my book is number 2 in the country on Sunday next to Michelle Obama. It was number 1 for 5 weeks. And I don't have a TV show anymore. They just like the killing books, all right? The audience likes them. If you look at the top 100 Amazon books, there's only 12 books. The number 2 book on Amazon right now is The Wonky Donkey. It's a kid's book. It's all kids' books, diet books, or cooking books. You buy the cooking book, you get fat. Then you have to buy the diet book to lose the weight. I got the industry. So nobody buying books. They're not reading books. They're not listening to new music, all right? And they're not basically tuning into Hawaii 5-0. They're not watching network news. You're right, it's fractured all over. But the key question is, how does this affect the nation? How does it affect us?
Well, it separates us into more tribes. There's no question about that. So there's tribalism.
That's right.
There is tribalism and there's sub-tribalism, because now with the technology that enables all of us to be broadcasters, we can find the voice that speaks to us and gather together with others who believe the same perspective.
Right.
And then it's a virtuous circle too, because we listen to each other's voices that are narrower voices. We hear that from the person who is speaking to us, and then we're telling our friends, and it's a virtuous circle that comes this way. And the tribalism, I agree with you, Bill, that it is a real issue in this country. Absolutely. I just want to say one thing about Barbara Streisand and the music business.
Right.
It's a similar sort of issue there, where there's so much noise, literally and figuratively, in the music business. There's just so much content out there. So it's more difficult even for the existing big
Sure,
brands.
and then you can just go on this thing and get any song you want to get.
Absolutely.
But you can't even get Streisand and McCartney, two of the biggest music names in history. Can't get their stuff played on the radio.
Well,
because
not
it's
in
so
traditional
fragmented. The new stuff.
Right, but not in traditional ways that we have before. But the exciting part is that you can build audiences in a way that you weren't able to before.
This
so
is
what you're doing
absolutely is why I'm sitting here. But I don't know if that's so exciting to Streisand and McCartney and the book authors, because the publishing houses, it's so hard to get a book published because there's only 10 books that sell.
But see, the business models change in this kind of environment. So even like a Streisand or McCartney, yes, they're not able to sit back passively like they were before and collect all the money coming in from record sales. But what they can do in a way that wasn't possible before is engage in experiential monetization. So people pay a lot of money to get close to McCartney and to Streisand.
Yeah,
and
they
that
have
can be
vehicles where they can make. I'm not feeling sorry for them. They're loaded. But going back to politics, Donald Trump's got to realize that you hit it perfectly. It's now tribalism. And the more tribes that President Trump can attract into his sphere, where they would vote for him for whatever reason, whether it's immigration, the economy, whatever, that's his chance to be reelected. But he's not going to reach the mass of people. He spends far too much time on the media, which is in decline. And he's got to really get some significant achievements and then tout those achievements to the various tribes. I think that if President Trump is listening to us now and does that, he'll have a very good chance to have a second term. Peter, thanks very much. Happy Christmas to you, and we really appreciate you helping us out today.
Happy to be here, Bill.
Okay.